Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to ROCKTOBER, where throughout the month of October, we are listening to different rock albums. Now today, of course, we are no longer in October, but unfortunately for that last week of October, I did fall ill. I was a little sick, and too sick to record anything because I had pretty much lost my voice. So we're going to roll over. We're going to just, carry on with two more additions to the ROCKTOBER series. Like I said, I always want to try to get 10 albums per month per genre. That is the goal, at least here. And carrying on, we've got today's listen. That, of course, being Tom Waits' 1985 record, Rain Dogs. Now, I don't know too much about this. It is 53 minutes in length. It is 19 tracks. But other than that, I know it is a bit more experimental. I know it is Tom Waits' more grovelly voice, his much more, unique signature sound that came later on in his career after his more kind of traditional bluesy stuff he did throughout the 70s. And prior to this release, I have only heard, I believe, 2 Tom Waits albums. That, of course, being Closing Time, his debut blues album, which is a great listen, highly recommend. I actually did a video for that back during January Blues. And of course, the second album of his that I've heard was Heart Attack and Vine, released I think in the late 70s, if I'm not mistaken, or was it the early 80s? 1980, actually, to be exact. But those are the only albums I am familiar with. So Rain Dogs will be a completely new, fresh avenue for me to check out. With that being said, this is a lengthier project. Let's just jump into it with the opening track here, Singapore. I'm expecting the weird. I'm embracing the weird. Okay, kicking it off, very raspy voice, love that, very grovelly, adds a lot of character, certainly. It's certainly an acquired taste, and it definitely takes more listens to fully adjust to, but it's certainly setting a tone for his personality here. It sounds almost evil. And on top of that, I want to quickly point out how harsh some of the instrumental sounds, almost like abrupt in its sound. Like those horns, crunchy and the whole thing is weird. It's wacky. I don't even know if there's a melody here to grasp onto. It is so... It just feels like... The whole town's made of iron ore. Every witness turns to steam. They all become... Feels like the instruments were dropped down a very long, never-ending staircase here. Italian dreams. We sail tonight for Singapore, where all is mad as hatters here. I've fallen for a tawny... All as mad as hatters here. A little bit of Alice in Wonderland alliteration as well being slid in here. Very literate, I know Tom Waits is. The land of Nod, drank with all the Chinamen, walked the shores of Paris. I drank along a colored wind. I dangled from a rope of sand. You must say goodbye to me. Oh, some structure here for once in that instrument. That some sort of bass. He's got like this evil kind of villain energy to his sort of performance. Feels almost Disney-esque in terms of just how like eerie and evil he sounds. But instrumentally, this thing is already very weird, kicking it off strong with the experimental roots. But this is a different avenue than I'm used to. Kind of like a more experimental blues direction, which I'm unfamiliar with. Clap hands, this one. hard to make heads or tails of what that opening track was about. I like this. This one feels a little bit more structured. I like the filter on his voice. Ooh. Even like a little bit of a chorus or something. Ooh. Hard to tell what this is about. Maybe working hard, being at the bottom of the barrel, perhaps. Man, I don't want to read too literally with some of these, but like, is this like some sort of... hold on. Like, we got like words like conductor, we got coal, steam. It's like some sort of, you know, hard-working coal slingers on a train, perhaps. I'm not too sure. That's what I'm gathering. I do like just the kind of clanging of the sound of this one. Very sluggish. Almost like a run-down feel to it. I love the nice transition, the nice ease into this chorus. I like this track quite a bit. Oh. Mark Ribot. Even the guitar doesn't feel as confident as one might be used to. It's very kind of strung out, almost loose. I love how it just feels like it's almost stumbling. Kind of like this instrumental. Such like a griminess so far to the album already. Really great atmosphere so far on the record. Great track. A little bit easier to grasp, I would say, melodically over that opening track. Let's go into Cemetery Polka. Is this actually going to be a polka song? It would seem... It would seem it's like Tom Waits' version of a polka. Even the production, too, is so unique and distinct. I love the lyrics. Some of that classic Tom Waits sort of humor, which is very subtle, and it just kind of comes up. It feels very matter of fact in a way. Ugh. So silly. And this like accordion is also falling apart. I like that one, but again, feels very distinctive, almost like a character, some sort of portrait. And Tom Waits' voice, I gotta say once again, very distinct, and I love just how raspy and mutilated it sounds in comparison to what we heard on Closing Time. back in January. He is certainly more of an artist than he is just a pure musician, one might say. Jockey, full of bourbon. A lot of very short tracks too. I like this bit of a I'll say Brazilian influences almost. Kind of feels like an espionage track. I like those bongos too in the background, adding to that sort of Brazilian flair. Oh. Oh yeah. Riding it out here. I like that. Almost like mallet. Oh, very abrupt, very, just like funky, classy, but also very grimy sounding Brazilian. Almost feels like a spy film. You know, like it feels. There's a sense of mystery to the atmosphere here. Wow. Very short, almost like vignettes that we're getting, it would seem. Very like detailing of this grimy, distinct atmosphere. I know, hold on a second. The loose concept album about the urban dispossessed of New York City. Which I find you get that aura of like the very downtrodden, gross, grotesque New York City life that feels as broken as it does full of energy, trying to kind of hold itself up. That's what I'm gathering here. Another thing I'm going to quickly just mention too is lyrically, like, I cannot make heads or tails of what really any of these tracks have been about too confidently, without diving too deep into the lyrics, which I don't want to do because that would be an even longer video. But I want to say that I do appreciate and like the very abstract focus of the lyrics. Like, it only adds more to the very kind of mystique of the album so far. It's certainly a unique listen, I'll say that, and I'm loving it so far. It's just one that I think it's going to take more time for me to get a hang of. Let's go to Tango Till They're Sore. Like, come on. Anyone else putting a piano like that kicking it off? A drunken pianist or something? But it's all intentional. Maybe like a heartbreak track. I want to quickly say too, vocally, he's a bit more clear here, which again, I just like the different approach to vocals that he does with every track.
My theme song, I guess daisies I have to do. Just get me to New Orleans and paint shadows on the pews. Turn the spit on that pig and kick the drum and let me down.
It's got a bit like a southern kind of drawl to the album. And very New Orleans, it feels influenced. There's like a real sense of soul, the passion that comes through, I would say, vocally and even instrumentally. Very raw. Ooh, a little bit of a fade out here. Like, what was that track even about? Maybe like a Love Lost type thing? Again, very difficult to kind of pick apart the lyrics, but everything coming through atmosphere-wise is just like gold. Very, like, it feels like New Orleans influenced. Big Black Mariah is this one. Like, oh. He's spitting. I feel like you could feel the spit on the mic. Okay, that is. I am okay. Okay, let's pause it. I have no idea what to even make of that track. Do I like it? I don't know. I do not know if I like that track. Oh, there's so much style coming through on this LP so far. So much atmosphere to take in. It's a lot to take in at once. This is one of those ones where I'm finding myself very intrigued by what I'm hearing. Very intrigued. Not instantly liking it, but I'm not turned off by it. I'm finding it more interesting than anything I've heard from Waits before. It's making me eager to hear it over time, to be honest. Diamonds and Gold, though. Let's keep it going. Very short tracks, very like quick, like I said earlier, almost like these little vignettes of these different lives, these different stories, very microscopic, but full of life in each one, which it's almost like a quality over quantity in terms of the runtime of the tracks. Substance, very strong. In style, I should say. The railroad, the mad dogs of summer, and everything that I know. It's like some man would do it for diamonds. Trying to get out of the gutter, perhaps. Some man would do it for gold. Wounded, but they just keep on climbing. I love the. It's like there's such a burdened sound to these tracks. Oh, that's brought back. It's like a. Maybe like a distinct examination of greed, perhaps, or even the never-ending grind for some sort of capitalistic gain, but they never seem to gather it. It seems almost like a loss at this grasp for any sort of change here. Sleep by the side of the road. So much character in these tracks, like very rich in their sound and storytelling. Let's keep it going. Hang Down Your Head is the next track here. Another quick one, 2.5 minutes. It's like a more experimental Bruce Springsteen here.
Tell the promise from my heart. Tell my heart to hang down your head tomorrow. Hang down your head.
This one sounds a little bit sweeter, a bit softer in its sound. Even a bit more upbeat in nature. It has a bit more of a groove to it. I like this one. I really like that. What is this, track 8? I think that's the harmonium maybe I heard throughout. Had a nice, rich sound. I thought maybe it was some sort of harmonica. But perhaps a harmonium... Oh, hold on, there's a bowed... What? There's a bowed saw. It's a hand saw. That comes in track 12. Sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. What is going on? This is such a crazy mix of sounds and instruments. I don't know if I've heard anything this weird in a while on the channel. Because usually even when I do, they're a little bit more safe or a little more conventional in sound. Nothing here is safe, but I like the very distinct flavor of this LP. Let's go into Time, which is almost 4 minutes. Easily the longest track so far yet. I guess Clap Hands was a bit lengthier too. But still, nothing too long here. We do have another lengthy track with the 4 minute mark here and here. But for the most part, these are pretty short spurts. Let's go into Time.
The smart money's on Harlem.
Oh.
Moon is in the street.
I like this
The shadow boys are breaking all the laws.
stripped back approach here.
And you're east of East St. Louis, and the wind is making speeches. And the rain sounds like a round of applause. And Napoleon is wounded.
He sings with very distinct emotion too.
His invisible
Throughout the album.
fiance's in the mirror. And it's time, time, time that you love. And it's time,
Oh.
time, time.
Grasping of memories, perhaps?
And the memory's like a train. You can see it getting smaller as it pulls away. And the things you can't remember tell the things you can't forget. The history puts a saint in every dream.
This one's so sweet, I want to say. It's so sorrowful. It's so sad. It's tugging on some heartstrings, and vocally, Tom here is very full of emotion. Very poetic lyrics as well, as it seems to be, he wrestles with the concept of time, perhaps the passage of time, the sorrow of looking back. This track only reinforces the idea that tracks named to time are often the greatest. Pink Floyd, David Bowie, now Mr. Waits. Oh, that's an organ or an accordion or something, but very beautiful instrumental overall. I think that's an accordion in the background. William Schimmel. Hands down, probably the best track so far. Very heart-wrenching, very sweet sound to that one. Honing in on those blues, for sure, but still keeping things raw and production. Let's go into the title track here. 3-minute track. Rain Dogs. So far, very impressive album. That's William, I believe, too, with the accordion. Am I correct?
Inside a broken clock, splashing the wine with all the rain dogs. Taxi, we'd rather walk. Huddle a doorway with the rain dogs. For I am a rain dog.
About like the homeless, perhaps? Is that what a rain dog is in this sense? I do like the groove of this track. I don't know why vocally reminds me a lot of the villain from Nightmare Before Christmas. Boogie, I believe his name is. Doesn't seem like he voices him. So, just a similarity, perhaps. But still, I feel like he gives off that vibe of a very eerie, weird, twisted villain who's blues-ridden.
Danced and you whispered to me, you'll never be me. You'll never be going back.
Lots of long fade-outs, too. It's like these characters are... It's almost like we're just kind of like phasing in and out of these different characters that feel very distinct. Midtown is this one here. Oh. Jazzy. Very jazzy. Kind of neo-noir. Oh my goodness. It's like some sort of car chase in like a 40s detective kind of film. Like a drunken stupor. Let's go to 9th and Hennepin.
Well, it's 9th and Hennepin. All the donuts have names that sound like prostitutes.
Like, man, these lyrics too. The voice act. I'm saying voice acting because it feels like acting, because of how unique these characters really feel.
When the moon's teeth marks.
Are we like a detective here?
The damn town's ready to blow. And the bricks are all scarred with jailhouse tattoos. And everyone is behaving like dogs.
Oh, this is so,
And horses are coming down Violin Road, and Ditch is dead on his feet.
this is so like
All the rooms, they smell like diesel, and you take on the dream.
neo-noir coded. Very like, crime noir maybe. Is that the word I'm looking for?
There. And I'm lost in the window. It gets worse with the clang and the thunder, the Southern Pacific going by, and the clock ticks out like a dripping faucet.
They're like overly metaphors that feel kind of redundant, a little silly. There's a certain self-awareness here, I think, kind of poking fun maybe at the classic, crime drama.
You're full of rag water, bitters, and blue ruin, and you spill out over the side to anyone who will listen.
It's like a poetic bitterness.
I've seen it all.
I like this one, even though it feels more skit-like. But it certainly pairs nice with Midtown. Let's go into Gun Street Girl.
1, 2, 3.
Bit more of a country twang here.
Falling James and John. He's long gone. Gone to Indiana. Ain't never coming home. My little John. He's long.
Not sure how I feel about this track.
Gone to Indiana. Ain't never coming home. This
Not
sycamore in St. John's Wood, soaking day old bread and kerosene.
I think it's just not my style. This one, this track specifically, the more twangy, kind of rustic tone to it. I don't know. I like the more bluesier aspect that we've been getting in this album.
Robin's egg and brown as a hog. You sit out of circulation till the dogs get tired.
It does feel like we're in a
Circulation till the dogs get tired.
some sort of saloon in the heat.
Shadow, one eye on a pistol and the other on the door. One eye on the pistol and the other on the door. Miss Charlotte took the satchel down to Kingfisher Rose. Snuggled in a brand new pair
I don't know.
of Alex-
This one feeling kind of tired to me. The tempo, the flow, very repetitive. It's not doing anything for me personally, which is shocking considering this one has 4 million streams, higher than quite a few of these
With a
tracks.
fine man's raincoat and a long yellow hair. Well, the title, he's long gone. Gone to Indiana, ain't never coming home.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a favorite of mine. Only thing I could say positive is I do like this unique perspective that we've gotten on this track list, which everyone here has been like a unique sort of world in itself. And this one having that bit more of a country, kind of a southern, deep, hot, kind of sweltering heat sort of feel to this one. It feels like we're in a saloon, like I said earlier. I think that's the only positive thing I could say is that I like it's a bit more distinct from the track list. That being said, I like the more bluesy aspects of the album more that it leans into on other tracks. But let's go to Union Square. You never know what you... I was about to say you never know what you're going to get as you start each track here. I did not expect Tom to be just screaming in my ears. Chill, dude. It's a scary album. I feel like he's yelling at me. I feel like I gotta clear my throat just listening to this. How does he sing like that? It's as a listener, it's palpable. And for him, how does he do it? Nice, kind of bluesy guitar work. Let's go into Blind Love. Oh. Bit of a Nashville sound on it as we kick it off. So many genres being blended throughout this album, like a plethora. A real hodgepodge. This one's like a sweeter one. A bit more of a rocking to it. You know? like just the rocking percussion. Oh, very clean guitars too that twang in. Ooh. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous backup vocals there. Maybe it's the like ugliness of Tom's vocals, but those backup vocals felt somewhat angelic up against his guttural sound. I like this like Nashville kind of sound, Nashville country sound. Those distinct strings coming in. It's beautiful. This is a great track, maybe one of the best tracks so far. Very sweet, like I almost said vocally. I don't know if sweet is how I would describe Tom's vocals, but very sweet lyrically. Very beautiful instrumentals. Great track. A really great track. It's hypnotic too. It's just like rocking nature. Alright, that's a great one. Not much more to say. I loved it. Now we're to walking Spanish.
Special. You know his glass is full of sand. And it feels that you never trip, you never stumble. He's walking Spanish down the hall.
What is this about?
Slip him a picture of our Jesus.
Some sort of sinner?
Or give him a spoon to dig a hole. But all it done ain't no one's business. Put any blankets, but he'll be somewhere else to hear the call. Don't say goodbye, he's just leaving early. Man, he's walking Spanish down the hall.
Seems our protagonist is some sort of sinner, is what I'm gathering. Seems like it's about someone on death row, perhaps.
Blind jackdaws. All Baker told the machine. But Daddy never broke the law.
Don't say goodbye, he's just leaving early would suggest that.
Tip your hat up to the pilot. Take off your watch, your rings and all. Even Jesus wanted just a little more time. When he was walking Spanish down the hall.
Guess it means yeah, being put to death here. Guess I was correct in some way. Guessing it was some sort of sinner. Very abstract lyricism, though. It's hard to, pick apart what he's saying when there's so many metaphors being used at once. Downtown train. Quite amount of streams here. 27 million, the most.
Try so hard to break out of the little world. You wave your hand.
This production is so much cleaner than pretty much anything that's on so far.
Be careful of them in the dark. If I was the one, just the same.
Man, that's like rising. There's like kind of beautiful energy building here. Oh. Ooh. I like this little breakdown here. anything to say about this one. It's just a very powerful listen, this one. Very clean production. While Waits' voice, as gravelly as ever, also feels recorded not nearly as clean or as sharp as the rest of the production here. I wonder if that's intentional. Feels almost more distant. But nothing to say about this one. I feel like it's a bit more conventional. Maybe Waits didn't want to scare off his audience too much at once. Let's go into Bride of Rain Dog. Oh, an instrumental. Ugh. Very short instrumental too. It's kind of ending before we even get to the halfway mark. Nothing to say about that one. Oh. Oh, I don't like that. That is somehow maybe the scariest sound on the album so far. I don't know what that was. I didn't like that beeping. Let's go into Anywhere I Lay My Head. Wait, you gotta relax. Holy hell, is he throwing just everything at us on this LP? Kicking it, like, let's go back. Jesus. Like wailing these lyrics. This one, did I say the track name? Anywhere I Lay My Head. It's got a nice uplifting, sweet tone to it. Is this track alluding to the cover here? She's laughing in her sleeve, boys. I could feel it in my bone. I'm gonna lay my head. I'm gonna call my home. I'm just thinking of the album cover here because, as you can see, laying his head, arm around him, and she is busting out a laugh there. I'm not sure what that like tattoo is on the arm, but interesting if this is somehow picturing the album cover.
Seems that my pockets were filled up with gold. I don't need anybody because I learn to be alone.
A very kind of lonely sense of lyrics. Maybe his best vocal performance, to be honest. Lots of passion in it. Lonely, desolate. What's going on here? Oh my god. Very raw horns, very bluesy. Like some sort of sad circus. All right. As we close out the album, I gotta say that was probably my favorite performance from him vocally. So much passion. Really loved how much he belted it out throughout that one. And the lyrics, very sad, very desolate, kind of alluding to this cover in some ways. But let's talk on the album as a whole. 53 minutes. It felt longer in some ways, simply because there's so much being thrown at you here. I don't even know what to say about this album. I actually think this is the weirdest album, maybe one of the weirdest albums I have ever heard. And I don't say that lightly. I've listened to a lot of weird, obscure, experimental albums, but there's just something about this one that feels like it shouldn't exist. It almost feels like all of it is wrong. It feels very nasty. It's very grimy. I love how every track feels like a different atmosphere, a different character, a different world as you're transported from one to the next. But there is some sort of common thread between them, in the sense that they all feel very broken. They all feel very messy. None of it feels too positive. Even the love tracks have a yearning and a sorrow to them. This feels like a very depressing album, but it's dressed up in like some sense of bizarre comedy. I might even say this is like the Eraserhead of albums, because it feels very uncanny. I don't know what to say about it. I'm actually at a loss for words with this LP. I think lyrically it's very abstract, very metaphor heavy. At one point, we were even in like a classic kind of noir detective film, and then it felt like in a circus, and then it felt like we were just like so in love. What is there to say? This is a weird LP that rarely gives you a moment to breathe, that very rarely gives you some sense of melody or something to grasp onto. It really is an album that is it's either you get it or you don't. And I'm going to say that I'm trying to get it. It's not that I don't get it. I kind of get what it's going for. I don't dislike it. I actually enjoyed the weirdness of it. And I'm a sucker for the weird. I love a good weird album. Kate Bush, for example, we've been covering a lot of her work recently, and she is pretty weird, especially for the mainstream. Tom Waits, same kind of character, very bizarre, and even when he might miss with a track, he's at least doing something very bold and interesting. But nothing here put me off to the point that I don't want to hear it again. I think I'm going to come back to this album more and more, listen to it many times over, and I'm sure at some point in time I'll even say that this is a near perfect album. But that's not today, because today I'm just saying, like, what was that? I guess it's Rain Dogs. Nothing else to say about this one. I loved the blues. I loved the jazziness. I loved what it's just racking on my brain. All right, probably not the best album to listen to after you've been, bedridden with a heavy sickness for a week. But feels like I came out on the other end, back in the depths. But that does it for today. If you like the video, please hit like and subscribe to follow along and listen to more albums alongside myself. We've got one more rock album to cover to close out Rocktober, to finish up that little branch. And of course, that album is going to be Talk Talk's album, Laughing Stock, which is a post-rock album, an album I've been wanting to check out for quite some time because I am a big fan of post-rock and other post-rock albums around that time, such as Spiderland by Slint. I know Laughing Stock is sort of like a different direction with that, so I'm pretty excited to check it out because post-rock, it's always a fun time. It's always a great listen. So subscribe if you're interested in that. But as always, My name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.